Okay. All right. Everybody. How many bodies? Everybody. So, this incredible soul sitting right next to me is one of my dearest friends and one of South Bay's favorite sax players, singer, songwriter, and performer. With 2 albums and numerous singles out, this artist swings with funk, soul, rock, ballads, and is known for his heartbreaking, tear-dropping, enthusiastic sax playing and his lead singing abilities. South Bay resident, this musician influences the scene and its sounds. To know him is to love him. Always up for a challenge, this man truly cares about music and other artists, is a refreshing friendship, and I adore playing with him every chance I get. The house sax player at South Bay Jams, the singer everyone wish they were, the songwriter I strive to be, the man with a dream, the artist with a vision and a signature, and is spectacularly talented, skilled, and sweet. Philip Clark!
Oh my god, that was beautiful! I think I'm gonna cry now.
I got tissues. Go ahead.
You wrote that? That's amazing.
I write all of my intros.
Thank you. I'm honored. I'm honored to be here.
I'm honored to have you here, man.
Wow.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm still kind of absorbing that.
You're like-
I forgot. Who's that guy? Who's
Who are you talking about?
that hack?
So tell me, how's quarantine? I think I can't avoid this question, these
I know.
days.
It's the prevailing question. It's good. I'm trying to keep my bubble fairly small. It's, pretty much myself, my kid, my girlfriend, and a couple couple other friends. That's really about it.
Yeah, me too.
And, before we got on, we were talking about the bubbles are starting to slowly open up, and I think we just got to be smart about it.
Thank God. I don't know how long it can take.
Man, I just miss my friends.
I just want to get corona already so I can just fucking be free. Fucking give it to me, someone.
Just give it to me. Put me on the ventilator already.
Right? They say you only get it once.
But, it's no joke. I know people that have had it. I know people that weeks ago caught it, and they're still not right. They're still, they're still like
that shit
not
lingers,
feeling.
right?
Yeah, it lingers, and just, I guess it messes with your, your organs, and you just have to it takes a while.
And for
recover.
us, singers.
Oh man, singers, could you imagine? We use our air, like that's our lifeblood.
That's your instrument.
That's it. That's your instrument. Yeah. I couldn't even imagine.
I can't get this shit because, I don't know how to do anything else.
Well,
so I'm fucked.
I'm usually that guy that during the winter, I'll get the flu no matter what I do.
Me too.
When I had my kid, I'd get the vaccine. I'd still get it.
But you have a kid, so.
Well, there's that. But so I was just used between November and March. I knew my voice was going to be 70% or 80% of what I can actually really do.
Yeah.
Just because my lungs were so crudted up or whatever.
Yeah.
But fortunately, knock on wood, like the last couple of years, I've been pretty healthy. So, but yeah, I couldn't even imagine.
Nah, I sing when I'm sick too, which is bad.
Well, that's bad. Yeah,
I know.
You're not supposed to do it.
But
That was the first thing my opera teacher taught me.
Yeah. Whoa, you had an opera teacher?
So yeah,
Tell us about that.
I'm classically trained on saxophone and voice.
Wow.
Yeah, self-taught on keyboards, but I'm classically
you're
trained.
super good at keyboards. So you self-taught yourself?
Self-taught on keyboards.
Wow.
Yeah. I wish I'd actually studied piano pedagogy is what they call it, but keyboard pedagogy. But so I've been singing since I was 5 years old, and when I went to college, I was classically trained, studied opera, vocal diction, so you learn how to sing in other languages.
Oh, wow.
I learned German diction, French diction, Portuguese, Spanish, Italian.
That's a thing then.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
And so you learn how to sing. You don't know what you're singing necessarily. Yeah. Like I'd sing in German. I have no idea what the fuck.
Man, I sing in English. I still don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
And these languages are crazy because like in German there's like 5 variations on the schwa.
Oh my god.
It's like e, like all these different ways of
in Portuguese too.
Same story.
As a matter of fact. Yeah, because of the accentuation on the words.
But that's how I sort of developed a love for different languages too, and I found out that I'm actually fairly decent with other languages.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So.
Have you been to these countries?
No, not at all.
Not yet?
Not yet.
As soon as we can, we should all go to Brazil.
Oh God, I would love that.
And then just have a great time.
I would
play
love
some
that.
shows there.
Yeah.
But why not?
But yeah, no, so I studied opera, and in college we had a book called the 24 Italian songs and arias. We called them the It Hits.
Oh wow.
The It Hits, and that's what you learn, and so I cut my teeth on that,
Cool.
and you learn basically how to sing technically well, and and so then you do that. You go to school, and then I quit to be a rock musician. I've been broke ever since. And then you basically you learn to break those rules.
Right.
But you have the technique,
Yeah.
so you don't hurt yourself. You don't
Right.
damage your voice.
Yeah.
And
the thing with singing sick is that you gotta push. Sometimes you're doped out from some NyQuil, where you gotta go sing, so you don't feel
Yeah.
it. So now you're singing so hard.
Well, and also you've got probably mucus on your vocal membranes,
yeah.
and the strain of
And
that,
coughing.
and coughing and all that stuff can really do some damage.
But what am I gonna do? I'm gonna not
Right.
play the gig.
Well, exactly. And
I have 5 gigs a week. And I need all of those 5,
Gotta
gigs
pay the bills.
Exactly. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll just take it easy tonight. Last thing you know, you go, whoa!
Break out the Ricola, and the
and the whiskey.
and the whiskey. And the hot whiskeys, that
The
helps.
hot whiskeys. The honey ones and the spicy
Yeah.
cinnamon ones.
One of my first vocal teachers told me he was a big fan of flat Coca-Cola.
Oh.
He's like, oh yeah, flat Coca, because you don't want the bubbles because that is acidic to your vocal cords. Even though I drink club soda all the time, and I've really not noticed a difference, but he was a big advocate for flat Coke.
That's gross.
Yeah, it is.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
But for quarantine, what have you been doing in quarantine? Have you been playing or fuck playing? Have you been writing, or are you kind of like, I don't care, I want to be lazy and I don't want to work?
I've actually been doing more writing,
that's great.
which is great because I kind of went through a spell with no creativity. So I've
do
actually,
that.
and I've recently had some inspiration for the writing.
Cool. Yay.
So I've been doing that. I've been practicing more. I scored 71 Fender Rhodes.
You did.
Yeah. So I got this Rhodes. It was sitting at Sam Ash for 3 months during the quarantine, and
Yeah.
nobody. And I went in there one day and I saw it. I was like, "What is going on here?" And it's in fantastic condition. I snagged it up, and it's been years since I've actually had a Rhodes, and just having that Rhodes and just playing it. It's not like a Rhodes on a synthesizer. I mean, they get close.
Yeah.
I've got the Korg SV, and it's got a great Rhodes sound. But even now, I go side by side and I A/B, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's
Ain't
nothing like playing
the
a
real
Rhodes.
thing, yeah.
And so I'm really into playing on the Rhodes now.
Wow.
I kind of took a break from the horn for a bit, but now I picked up the horn again, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember I'm a horn player. I better start.
Yeah.
And so it's good to play the horn. I think the one thing that I haven't probably been doing enough is singing, so I gotta amend that. But yeah.
It's whatever. We do so many things.
Yeah,
Wear
and
so many
then
heads.
really what I've been purposefully doing is technically improving my chops. So I'm learning Ableton, and I have a machine that I want to incorporate into Ableton. So I have to learn those 2 platforms.
Okay.
Because I want to switch up my one-man act, which has all been background tracks for years. I've been doing my one-man show for over 20 years, and I've been playing to background tracks, and now I want to start with live looping.
Oh my god.
And Ableton really lends itself to
What
that.
are you using to do the looping?
Basically Ableton.
Really?
Yeah, because Ableton in session view, it's all loop based.
So what, do you take your computer to your gig?
Yeah, so basically I'll take a laptop, like I've got a little Surface Pro that I just got for the express purpose of doing the live looping thing. Yeah.
So you're practicing that?
I'm working on it.
How
I haven't
good
quite
is
gotten
it
there
good?
yet.
Is it good?
I haven't quite gotten there yet. Although I did get a effects pedal for the Rhodes that has a looper on it too. So I have a single loop pedal if I need that.
So you don't have to keep playing that. As it loops, you can like work with everything else.
Yeah.
But don't you think that the whole thing, for me at least, you know, with the looping thing, is that if a song changes a lot chords, then now I'm not fast enough to loop this stuff.
Yeah, you have to.
You know, if it's dreams, it's fine.
You have right, exactly.
But
it all depends on the material that you pick. So you have to pick material that lends itself to that in the first place.
Oh.
And then if there's a B section or a C section, then you've got to leave that.
Yeah.
Maybe keep your rhythm tracks, keep your drums, because you're going to need that. And then you're kind of on your own for that one section, and then you can get back into your hooks.
I know.
You ever watch this guy Bernhoft?
I don't know.
Bernhoft was one of the first guys I saw doing the looping thing, and he's got it down to a T. And
some guys are really good.
Just amazing.
But they have certain different kinds of pedals where it allows you to change the layers, to keep certain layers, you know?
Yeah, to have sections.
The TC Helicon I have is just one.
Right.
And if I fuck it up, forget it.
Right, then you got to start all over again. Right.
You know? And I'm not very good at it.
Yeah. So I'm still trying to work that out, but I just like the organic aspect that the live looping does, because then you're not, you know, when you play with a track, like if I'm in a sax solo, I know I've only got 8 or 16 bars.
Exactly. So it's limiting a little bit.
It limits you. And so, you know, with the live looping, if I get a wild hair and I'm like, oh, I want to extend this sax solo, or I want to do something different or flip it or whatever, then you have the freedom to do that. Yeah. And so that's what I'm pursuing at this point. Because my one-man show, as much as I, you know, enjoy it, and as much as other people enjoy it,
we do.
I feel like it just needs a kick. It just needs a little...
Plus for yourself.
Yeah, for myself too, because you do it enough. You do that show the same time, same way, over and over again. Yeah. You start phoning it in.
Yeah.
Especially in situations where maybe the crowd's not so good.
Right.
You're playing for the bartender.
Fuck.
I go, here I am.
Or your girlfriend.
You know,
or your drunk friend.
Exactly. You know, you got a couple people there, and you know, and they're barely paying attention or whatever. You know.
But see, those are the gigs where I go like, fuck it. I'm just gonna. What am I gonna work on today? You know.
Right.
That's what I do. I do the same thing with guitar. I practice them faster, so when I get to the real thing, it's just like, you know, a walk in the park.
Right. Or it's the challenge of, okay, these people aren't paying attention. What's it going to take to make them pay attention?
That is
it's like
awesome.
You remember that movie? What was it? Almost Famous, where the guy's like, "My job is to find that guy who's not getting off and to make him get off."
Yes. Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like it's like, okay, so fine, I only got 5 people here, and they're like, you know, they're chatting it up or whatever. What's it going to take to change that? What's it going to take to get their attention?
Yeah.
You know, or make them, you know, at least clap for this song for a change or whatever.
It's so important to end songs properly, because then people, even though they don't care, at least they see that you finished the song. It's so sad when you just finish a beautiful
especially
song.
when you're doing a solo gig, like endings are like super important. You have to basically sort of, it's like gymnastics. You sort of have to dismount, land, throw your hands up in the air. That's the end.
That's so true.
I've finished. And then you wait.
And then you hear.
And then from the back of the room you hear.
It's funny because it's true. Oh my fucking god. That's hilarious. I miss going and playing. That's why I love solo gigs too, because I can do it.
And with my solo gig, sometimes it literally is gymnastics, because I'm playing keyboard.
Yeah.
I'm singing, and then I leave that to grab the saxophone.
Right.
And then I'm back in, and I'm playing and I'm singing again.
That's why you stay skinny.
That's the only way to do it. And I play standing too. I don't sit down like you.
Yeah, you don't. I don't sit down. I don't like sitting down.
You don't sit down anymore?
No.
I think a Dia lends or not Dia, Lido. It
Lido.
lends itself.
Oh, Lido.
It lends itself,
to.
yeah, because that's sort of the ambience, the vibe.
Yeah. For that gig, yeah. But sometimes people translate acoustic shows to sitting down.
Right.
But everybody's already sitting down, so I don't know. I just sing better when I'm standing up.
Oh yeah, well it's necessary, like posture
And guitar playing, yeah.
Yeah, and breath support and all that.
And just being, I'm performing.
Exactly.
I'm sitting down. I sit down all day.
Yeah, and I see so many keyboard players who are those sit-down keyboard player types, and I've never been like that. And I really can't, because when I'm playing the sax, I mean, I can play sitting down, but, it
But it limits your mobility, too.
It does limit your mobility. The saxophone gets in the way all of a sudden now, because it's basically kind of sitting in your lap, and you're crunched up trying to play the piano. Plus you're singing, yeah. So.
No, standing is the fucking key. Yeah, it's harder, but deal with it.
Well, and you're putting on a show and you're engaging the audience, so
yeah,
get out there.
I know. Music. So you're saying you've been working on all this stuff. Do you remember when was the last time you put something out, or that you had so much time off that you were like, I don't know what I'm doing with myself?
I know. It's been a real sort of beating myself up because I haven't put out a release in a while.
You haven't put out?
Haven't put out.
Come on.
Not
Clark.
music.
Everything else?
Everything else is...
It's out there. Anyway, edit.
I get my share. Was the guy in the Commitments? I get my share.
I love that movie.
It's definitely my favorite music movie.
Yeah, me too.
Well, it's between that and High Fidelity, because I'm a big fan of music movies. High Fidelity is a good music movie.
I gotta check High Fidelity.
But in terms of actually like musicians, like that's probably one of my favorites.
But they were like it was a real thing.
Yeah.
At least feels like it was.
Well, and also it tells the story of like pretty much every band I've ever been in.
Yeah.
It's
the story of everybody's life.
Yeah.
If you're a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's been in a band like that.
And we all have. But when was the last time you had so much time off?
I put out I put out a single in 2010, right? No. Okay, so I finished my EP the day before my son was born.
Oh my God.
When was that? That was 10 years ago.
Woo!
And then about, I guess, 2 or 3 years after that, I put out a single. Mm-hmm. And that was the last thing I released. But the EP project was supposed to be basically 5 song EPs and 3 of them. So it was going to be 15 songs total, told in sort of 3 acts.
Okay.
And I did act 1, and then I had a kid.
Oh my God.
And that sort of put that on the back burner for a while. So I have material to finish for these subsequent EPs. But then I'm also writing new stuff now that probably doesn't even fit into that.
Yeah.
So the idea now might be just to scrap the EP idea entirely. Maybe just, I mean, the model's changed though. The way you release music has changed.
That's true too.
Like putting out an album is like a big deal. Putting out like an EP is like, okay, fine. We're in a singles mentality.
We are in a singles mentality.
Like when I go listen to new music every Friday, and like I'm big about listening to new music every Friday.
I'm so glad you said that.
Oh, I try not to listen to the same song twice. That's my appetite for new music is voracious.
I love that.
So every Friday when I'm listening to, I got two basic places I go to. I go to Spotify Release Radar and I go to Apple New Music Releases. And nearly at least half of what I listen to are just singles.
Yeah.
They're not even on EPs or albums anymore.
Not, because people are not, they're too distracted.
Well, and also, you just need streams at this point to make any money in this business.
Yeah, no, forget it.
So what are you gonna do?
You're not going to playing Spotify unless
I'm gonna wait a year to put an album together.
Yeah.
And then get the streams that way? Heck no. I'm gonna finish a song. I'm gonna produce it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it out, and it can go on the album later. Big deal.
Totally.
It could be a compilation of
when
singles that I've done.
When you have 10 tracks, you do an album for whoever, but nobody sits there and buys the album anymore either.
Right.
So it's like...
Well, that's the thing. And nobody's really buying albums anymore.
Nobody buys it. Did you even have a CD player in your
Exactly.
car?
Well, it's gotten to that
Like,
point where
no.
like I don't even buy CDs anymore.
We have vinyl players in our house
Well,
because we're fucking musicians.
That's what I want to get into. I want to get into vinyl. You
But
know?
nobody else does.
And great albums that I enjoy, I will buy on vinyl.
Exactly, yeah.
You know.
But see, seriously, like, who's going to buy their stuff these days to listen on? It's not even going to sound any better or different. I'm sorry. I'm not going to drop names because I don't want to get, like, yelled at. But, like, the shitty artists these days, you know, really? You're going to fucking spend money buying their vinyl?
Although,
No.
I did
Unless he's Speranza, then
and
yeah.
I actually did want to talk about this podcast because it's one of your guests. I did listen to the Mitch record.
The Mitch Perry.
I listened to the Mitch
Yeah.
Perry record,
Yeah.
and I was pleasantly surprised.
It's fucking awesome.
It's a
sounds
good record.
So good.
It sounds good. It's just sort of a love letter to that classic rock sound.
Yeah.
You know,
It was recorded well.
it was recorded
The
well.
songs were written
all the
beautifully.
performances great. The vocal
Yeah.
performances. I mean, we
Yeah.
got Kara Turner on there.
Shelby and Keith England.
And I didn't realize how melodic of a guitar player Mitch was.
Oh my God. That
'Cause-
is the thing.
Because I don't know Mitch as well as you guys do
Mm-hmm.
because I never attended the Sunday Jam
Yeah,
really.
you
He
had
came
kids.
he came up a couple times during South Bay Jam, but I never went to the Sunday thing. And listening to that record and listening to Mitch's solos on that record is it's a treat.
Oh yeah.
It's an absolute treat.
And even seeing him live is just, I can't believe I'm listening to this right now here at the standing room, you know. It's
But
like,
wow. Great
But
performances all around.
Stuff, yeah. I have his CD actually. I have his CD.
Yeah.
And he's amazing. And there's so many great, amazing artists here in the South Bay. You've been in the South Bay for a long time, right?
Been here 14 years now. Yeah. Maybe 15? No, 14 years, yeah.
14 years here. Well, I've been here longer than you.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah,
here
you were here
17.
younger because then I was in New York before that. So
So you're from Wayomi.
I'm the only funky white boy of my kind from the state of Wyoming. Don't tell anyone.
Shh.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone. So did you do music there at all?
Yeah,
Tell
I mean,
us about
I
it.
was okay.
When did you start playing stuff?
Well, my dad was a musician.
Shit's going down out there.
I know, right? My dad was a musician, although
cool.
he and my mom split when I was really young. But my uncle was a musician. He was my mentor.
Oh wow.
He was the first guy to hire me.
wow.
I was singing since I was 5. I was getting solos at my... So, I grew up in a really small town. My town was 2,600 people.
Holy fuck.
And I impressed my grade school music teacher, and he started putting me on solos.
Awesome.
And so I'd been singing since I was 5. Learned... I took piano lessons for a brief point in time when I was like 4th grade or something, and then my piano teacher left. I hated my second piano teacher, so I quit. But then I picked up the saxophone and started playing in a concert band when I was, I guess, like around 11.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
So that's where the saxophone thing came in. And then I'd sneak into the practice rooms after concert band rehearsal. I'd start plunking around on the piano again.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Because I wanted to learn like Elton John tunes and that kind of thing. So it sort of evolved to the point, like, I guess I'm like about 14 now, but I'm heavily into music. I was an art geek. Like I was drama, speech, music.
Cool.
And then into high school. So I'm about 14. I start writing my first songs.
Nice.
Put my first bands together.
What was the name of your first band?
My first band was called Zephyr.
Nice.
And I have a great nightmare gig story. You know
Please
these nightmare
tell
gig
us.
stories?
We love them.
Okay, so it's my first band, right?
Perfect.
So we had learned like 3 songs that we ended up, I think this was middle school days. I think it was probably 8th grade or something like that, if I remember. And I'm an 80s kid, so we learned Who Could It Be Now by Men at Work.
Oh my God. Good.
Goody Two Shoes by Adamant.
Yeah.
And then we concocted a couple like instrumental things, and we went and we played for the school.
Yeah.
Like at the auditorium, like they did set up a performance for us, and we did that, and everybody was like, "Oh, the rock stars!"
I love that.
Made such a great impression that one of my friends in middle school was like, "Oh, I want you to play my birthday party."
Cool.
I was like, "Oh, awesome, let's do it." Her parents owned a bar that my uncles actually built and
Awesome.
and ran for a while, but then they sold it. So we're ready to play this gig. We go for her birthday party, and we play our 3 songs, and we're like 15 minutes into the show, and it's like, what else we got?
Oh my god.
Nothing.
Let's play the fucking songs
Nothing. So here we are. You know, we can't even fill an hour.
Didn't even occur to you.
Didn't even occur to us. Like, we noodled on Jump. We never learned it.
Oh my
you know,
god.
and so we're getting heckled by like the older kids because they like to pick on us, and you know,
That's their job.
So it's like now it's a feeding frenzy, and we're getting heckled and whatnot. And one of my guitar players had these little pull apart firecrackers where you pull it and it makes a pop, and he strung them up on his guitar strings. And so one of the hecklers is like kind of like strumming on his guitar like that. And he like reaches behind, pulls one of the strings, makes this pop. He's like, "Ah, pow!" But so it was an absolute travesty. But
And then what? Did the gig just end?
yeah, you know, then we were like, oh well, you got no more material. Let's just commence with the party or whatever.
But that was your first gig then.
That was the first.
I wish I could
That was the
remember
first
my
gig
first
with that band, and then and then my uncle hired me to play in his band, and it was all oldies and country.
And then you had to learn a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and so but my uncle was like a consummate professional in terms of, you know, how you load in and you show up an hour before the gig, and this is how you conduct yourself on stage. And I wasn't drinking at the time, but like it was like, you know, and there's no drinking on stage and yada yada yada. And so I learned the etiquette of being a professional musician.
Yeah.
I was 14, 15 years old at the time now.
That's awesome.
And so, you know, now I'm going on the weekends with my uncle to play supper clubs and wedding receptions.
We're making any money?
Yeah. And actually they paid us what we were worth in Wyoming at the time. Yeah. Like if you didn't make $100 a man, and this was 80, 85, 86, you know, you don't take the gig.
No, yeah.
And you know, here in LA and when I was in New York, it's like you're lucky to make $100 a man sometimes, which is ridiculous.
I know. And people, you know, they have to take the gig sometimes because either they're starting in a new town or they just don't have a lot of gigs or they really need the money.
Yeah.
So they're doing $75 gigs, $50 gigs, you know.
But yeah, so I was doing that instead of going to like my prom and buying lettering, like my lettering jacket, my class ring. Like I took that money, I bought gear with it, I bought a microphone. I skipped my prom because I had a gig.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah, you know, like I had my priorities in order because I knew, like, you know, by the time I was in high school, I knew I wanted to do music for a living.
Yeah.
Like that was my thing.
And you've been doing.
And then I was just trying to figure out how the hell I was going to get out of Wyoming.
So you got the fuck out of there and you went to New York.
Well, first I went to Denver. I got a job in Denver working for a music store, and I worked in a music store. Yeah, so I did music retail for a while, which is any of you people that are out there doing music retail, God love you.
You're going to heaven.
It's such a hard job because, you know, you're in sales.
Yeah.
Which is a racket in the first place. And then you have to summon the creativity after you've been on the sales floor, you know, doing music, to now go create music or whatever.
Right.
But, you know, I'm working in a music store. I'm playing gigs. This is in Denver. I was cutting my teeth on the blues. They had some decent blues in Denver. So I'm learning how to play the blues, which is good. And then for a brief stint, for about a year, I come out to Central California, San Luis Obispo, for a girl. It was totally ill-advised. Didn't work out. But I got in a reggae band. And that cured my white boy syndrome. Because, you know...
I love it.
You know, because you're pretty uptight, you know? Like,
right.
It's easy to rush and stuff like that because you're so enthusiastic when you're a young player.
Yeah,
like, you're so into playing music, and it's very easy. The tendency is to rush.
Totally.
And when you're playing reggae...
Oh.
Everything you play is off the beat.
Right.
It's all, especially as a keyboard player.
Yeah.
Because like you're like the ones here, and as a keyboard player, like you know, like
bubble.
you're doing the bubble. Exactly, you're doing the bubble.
Right.
You know, and you're skanking and all that stuff. So it's all
You
and
skank.
and or
yeah.
like when if you're counting, right?
Right.
So that totally cures your white boy syndrome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So a reggae band. Wow.
So a reggae band, and half the time I got paid in weed with that thing.
Well,
Anyway,
go figure.
the Central Coast thing didn't work out, so I moved back to Denver with my tail between my legs because I got my heart crushed.
Oh.
And then I ended up shacking up with a friend of mine who I worked in the music store with. He was a techno producer, but he got me into producing hip hop. I basically got in with the hip hop studio, and I started producing hip hop.
Wow.
Because my love is really for like soul,
It is, yeah.
and R&B.
So far, that's what I know about you. But
Yeah.
hip hop too.
And
I didn't know about reggae, so.
Well, yeah, and so when my first experiments in songwriting, or at least producing, were learning things like hip hop tracks, soul to soul, loose ends, that kind of school, the sampling school, like with a loop and a beat.
Yeah.
And so I started going to town just producing hip hop for people.
Wow.
And then during that, and I joined a band, like a rap hip hop funk band, 11-piece band called Lord Word and Disciples of Bass. I was in the horn section. We did a Midwest tour. We opened for James Brown
Holy shit.
in Las Vegas.
That's badass.
We headlined the House of Blues.
Wow.
And I get to tell my House of Blues story because this little known Philly hip hop band opened for us.
Uh-huh.
And we're the headliners, and so I'm hanging out in the green room. I'm like, I'll go check out this band for a second. I'm at the House of Blues in L.A. Why not? Go look over the balcony. I'm checking out the band. I'm like, yeah, these guys are pretty good. Go back in the green room. Didn't give them a second thought. That band was The Roots.
Wow.
Was The Roots opened for us.
Wow.
And of course, the band I was in faded into obscurity, disappeared from the planet.
But shit happens, you know?
So a friend of mine that I'd helped him build his computer music studio, because that was part of the music store thing that I was doing, asked me to come to New York and help him build a recording studio.
Okay.
And I was like, New York does New York even exist to me? I'm
Right.
in the Midwest. I'm in the Rockies. Like, what am I going to do? I got a good thing going here. I'm running the studio. I'm in the band. He's like, just come out to New York for a little bit. Here's a list of all the gear I bought. And he got this 5-page invoice of stuff that he just bought for the studio. And I look at him like, I'll come out for 3 months.
Yeah.
I'll help you build your studio, and then I'm going back to Denver.
Right.
We truck out in a mini Volkswagen bus, go cross-country trip. I land in New York it was about this time. It was like September I got there, and there was a big old harvest moon. We were downtown. We were holed up in the New Yorker Hotel on 34th and 8th. The Empire State Building is directly down from us. I'm seeing the Empire State and this huge-ass moon, and I'm like, I'm home. Like, it's New York.
Wow.
And 3 months later, it turned into
deep
12
in.
years. It was
12
like,
years!
I'm like not
Fuck.
going anywhere.
I didn't know you were there for that long.
Yeah. And I got into like the studio thing there. I produced for a lot of people.
And you recorded some of your stuff there too?
That's where I started recording my songs and building the first record that I did.
Cool. Which is called?
The State of Blue-Eyed Soul.
Yeah, I like that. I like that album.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of tracks on that album.
That's a 12, 13 song record, yeah.
That's a lot.
And some of the ideas started in Denver, but it was really when I got to New York that
And that was 2001.
I released it in 2001. I got to New York in 95, 96. So I started building those ideas probably around 96, 97. I started fleshing out these songs and being really inspired because New York is just being there. And I was mid-20s. I'm 25. I'm a pup. I'm meeting girls. I'm falling in.
That's so cool.
You know, like,
and the city is just so fucking
and the city's
cool.
and great, and you know, and also the people that I was associated with, like Zulu Nation. Like I produced a track for TC Islam from Zulu Nation, and I knew the Brooklyn Funk Essentials, and these like, and I was big into the acid jazz at the time, so these guys were like kind of heroes to me. And I'm being able to go into all these different studios because the room that we got in, the New Yorker Hotel, like the 15th floor was just all recording studios.
Really?
It was all hotel suites, but like everybody had their own studio. And so I'm going studio, like visiting my friends. Hey, what's up? What's going on?
That's so cool.
You know? And, you know, and I came up with like a couple ideas one time, like just on a chance, like beat that I had written. I got like in with like pitching to Barry White.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he didn't take the song, but I was like, shit, Barry White.
But fuck, you pitched it, yeah.
Heard my song, which is great. So, and then eventually that kind of all didn't work out. I had creative differences with the guy that brought me back to Denver, but I decided to stay in New York and, you know, work on my own stuff and, you know, get my own place and start buying my own gear. Well, then I finally put my band together. You know, as I was putting the record together, and yeah, I'm playing with bands and doing casuals and stuff. And
is it like here? Does he have like tiny little bubbles where a bunch of musicians go?
New York is a trip. And for all intents and purposes, I couldn't get arrested in New York, and I was trying to go down to the Village and play with my band and get discovered and do that whole thing. And the timing was awful because by the time I put out my record and I was actively promoting the record, then 9/11 happened.
Oh my God.
So like now I'm playing down in the Village, and the last thing people really want to do, is go out.
Go out, and then
and you know, and
their heads are somewhere else.
Yeah, everybody, yeah. So the timing was just
so
off.
you were there for that.
I was there for 9/11. It's like, I tell people it's like being in the Godzilla movie.
It is.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Did you see everything?
I did.
That's nuts.
I came out. I went to work. I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and so I took the bus over the bridge to the train, and I'm walking down Queens. You know, I'm walking in Queens along Island City, and you can see the Empire State Building. The first plane had hit. By the time I got into Manhattan, the second plane had hit.
Oh my! You're Manhattan, so you're super close.
Oh yeah, I was working. I was working right by Madison Square Garden in a federal building because I was doing. I was recording books on tape. I was engineering sessions for books on tape.
That's cool.
And we were in a federal building, and they evacuated it because they evacuated all the federal buildings. And I'm like, okay, well, Penn Station's right there. I'll just hop on the train and get home. Then they evacuated Penn Station.
Yeah.
And now I'm stuck on Manhattan.
With the world going down.
With the Twin Towers up in flames, and then the first one fell, of course, and like, and we're hearing and we're hearing it on the radio because there's no internet really at the time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We're getting our news source from like the radio, and we're all just like cattle walking up like streets in New York because nobody's driving now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy.
What a nightmare.
Yeah.
I was in Brazil then, and I'm thinking to myself, the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
this is
nuts.
nuts. But then you stayed there 12 years. What brought you here?
I did the Apollo too.
The Apollo?
Yeah, I did the Apollo Theater, the amateur night at the
You
Apollo.
did?
Yeah.
Oh my God! How was that?
As terrifying as it looks on TV.
Nice.
It was a different night. It wasn't the night that they'd film the actual show. They did Wednesday nights and they did Saturday nights. And Saturday nights was the show that they filmed with. I think at the time Steve Harvey was hosting it. But the Wednesday night show was everybody. So it was mixed ages. It was mixed acts. Like I could be competing against a gymnast. I could be competing against like a rapper, or spoken word, or whatever.
Right.
So I went and I won twice.
Shut up!
I won
twice. Is it on TV? Can we find it?
No, I do have video of it that I'll have to encode one of these days and rip it down to an actual video file. But yeah, I did it. But no, it was. I played big shows. Don't get me wrong. When I was in Lord of Word, we played Fiddler's Green. I played for 30,000 people.
Wow.
You know, I played stadiums and I've done that thing and it was cool. Being on the Apollo stage is literally one of those moments where your brain, your body just goes into sort of autopilot, and you're in the back of your head, like you're performing the show.
Yeah.
I'm singing. I did Stevie Wonder, All I Do. And I'm there and I'm singing for all these people and I'm looking around, and in the back of my head I'm like, holy fuck, I'm at the Apollo right now. Like I'm not even, and my mouth is moving and I'm singing and I'm walking around and I'm putting on a show and I'm hyping people up and they're digging it. But like I wasn't there. Like I don't feel like I was. Have you ever had that like out of body experience?
I have. I've had.
So weird.
Yeah.
Well, I killed it. And,
twice then.
Twice, yeah.
Shit.
And then I got beat by a 7-year-old girl from Harlem that twisted herself into a knot. She was like a contortionist, and I got beat by the local crowd.
Well, you gotta give her the fucking props.
Well, yeah. So, but
she
but I
became a
did it.
motherfucking knot.
It's one of those things that's like, hey, you know what? Nobody can take that away from me.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. You can tell you can tell your kid. I played there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just to be in New York, I was there with Julia and we had a gig, and then we had like 2 days off, and we were in New York just hanging out, having drinks, had sushi, and just walking down the streets.
The city itself is actually great. It's electric. I do miss it from time to time. There are things that I don't miss about it. When I first came here, I hated it because it wasn't New York. But then, like about a year and a half later, I'm like, well, it's beautiful here all the time.
Yeah.
I don't have these extreme hot and colds that New York had. Freezing winters.
Snow and shit.
Sweltering summers because of the humidity. I'm a half a mile away from the beach.
Yeah.
And it doesn't smell like bum piss everywhere I step out.
Only if you go to downtown. But so how did you end up here?
So basically I met
What happened?
I met my ex-wife out there.
Right. Cool.
And so, we decided that we were going to get married and start a family, and we didn't want to do it in New York. And she was a California girl. She was originally from Orange County. I'm like, no, I'm not going to live there.
Yeah.
I need to be in an entertainment city because that's just who I am.
Because I work.
Yeah. And luckily, her mom got us a place in Manhattan Beach.
Oh, wow.
Like,
which is awesome.
I literally had no idea how much I lucked out when I moved to the South Bay.
Wow, yeah.
Because
I didn't either.
We could have lived in Culver. We could have lived in Century City. Like we could have done any of that.
Yeah.
But we ended up down here, and I'm so grateful that I am down here because of the community. First of all, I didn't realize it took me a while too to find you guys in terms of the South Bay music community.
For me too.
Because initially my connections here musically were like the old guard, Mel Harker, South Bay Bob,
right,
Russell Summers, those guys. Those were the guys I was hanging out with.
Joe's band.
Well, I didn't even meet Joe until later.
Oh.
I didn't even hook up with Joe until later. But then I think eventually, I think Scott Goldman was the first guy to find me. Like I was either playing a one man or I might have been playing, something like that. And he was like, "Oh, hey, why don't you come play with me, for a bit?"
Yeah.
And that's how I, got into the rooftop thing. I mean, the rooftop was such a game changer for all of us musicians.
That's where I met you guys.
That's how I met you. I was like, who's this girl singing these throaty Alanis Morissette songs on the roof deck? Like, what is that all about?
I don't remember those days very well. I was partying my ass off.
And I will say,
but it was so fun.
It was so fun, and the crew was great, and you make your, that was when I finally felt, okay, these people are closer to my age.
Yeah.
We're into the same kind of stuff.
They're trying to do something here.
And then we start
together.
And then we start jamming with each other, and we make these connections with Barkley and Aragorn and these there's all these great, incredible musicians, and nobody's trying to stab anybody in the back.
No.
Which that's the stark difference from New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The whole thing about New York is it's cutthroat, and everybody's trying to gun for everybody else's position. There are 5 guys around the block that are wanting your spot. you know, and they'll do whatever it takes to get it. And,
Right.
you know, and down here it's not like that.
No, it's
you
a
know,
family.
you get that a little bit probably more like up in Hollywood and that scene. You probably get a little
Maybe.
bit more of that kind of competitiveness.
Yeah.
But down here it's just so much. Everybody wants everybody else to succeed.
Yeah.
And if we can help each other do it, all the more.
And we do that a lot. We use each other's band members.
Well, and
oh
that's
man, you know, can I borrow your
that's the
bass
thing.
player?
Yeah,
We're always
absolutely.
mixing it up and like, hey, you know, I'm gonna cut a record or song. I'm gonna use this dude, this dude, this dude. Doesn't matter who they're playing for. Everybody's just like, yeah, sure, and helping each other. I love it. I love the South Bay. When I finally found everybody, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
I
that
have
was
found
the thing.
the holy grail of
Yeah.
music.
And then when you make those bonds with guys that you are really like playing with on a frequent basis, like
Right.
even the jam, like
Yeah.
we're sort of a little family.
We are.
You know.
Yeah. We're fucking like, don't fuck with my people.
Yeah. And you know, and even that like breeds like the family kind of stuff. Like every once in a while, you know, well, I'm sick of looking at your face or I'm sick of your shit, but you know,
That's normal.
it is still family.
It is. And
And
the South Bay Jam is super welcoming.
super welcoming, and also I love seeing people who are not experienced in being on stage,
Yeah.
learning for the first time what it's like to
Yeah.
put on a performance and to
keep coming
develop their
in,
craft
yeah.
and to become a better singer and a better
Yeah.
performer.
Because we've been through that.
Right.
You know, who are we to like not let people develop their sound?
Right, and
It's fun to
that's
watch.
what we're here to facilitate too. Like I
Yeah.
love seeing bands formed out of people
Yeah.
that have been at the jam together.
Totally. Like
Lance's
Lance's
and
Pedro.
Carla's band.
That's right.
Like Carla's band.
Oh, shit.
Like that probably wouldn't have happened if
And
she
Bill.
hadn't met those guys. And Bill.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
The South Bay has this family, this scene, and people come from, you know, Hollywood or even from New York, and they go like, oh my God, they gotta fucking go to South Bay. Because who did I meet? It was Mitch Perry too has mentioned that. He's like, you can go anywhere and you can find, you know, little bubbles here and there, but it's in the South Bay, Hermosa Beach, pretty big.
Yeah.
How many musicians you think around here? And we don't even know everybody. Sometimes.
Oh well,
like,
that's the thing, because
yeah.
like I'm watching Tim Campbell now post like a musician a day, and some of these guys I don't even know. But yeah, I mean, there's got to be a good like 30, 40, I'd say at least, right?
More that
Probably
we
more.
know. Oh, so many. I think in common with you, I have like 200 friends.
Well, yeah.
They're probably 98% musicians. But yeah. So when it comes to songwriting, and let's talk a little bit about your music, because you have a website, philipclarkmusic.com.
Yeah, it needs work. It's really kind of a mirror of my band camp page right now.
Man, but we all need fucking work on everything all the
But
time.
I am on the distros. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Music, Pandora, yada yada yada.
Cool. And you have a few albums, and you have some singles.
Right.
The State of Blue-Eyed Soul that came out in 2001. Who played with you? Did you just hire these musicians? Or was
That
like...
one is mainly self-produced.
Oh, wow.
The only thing that I'm not playing on the State of Blue-Eyed Soul is guitar, and so everything else is pretty much me.
Like I said,
And
you had
that's-
a lot of songs in there. And did you write everything then?
Yeah, I wrote everything. Yeah, that was it was pretty much my love letter to New York.
Yeah.
You
So when
know?
it comes to songwriting, how do you go about it? What works best for you?
It's interesting. My process when I was writing the State of Blue-Eyed Soul, you walk a lot in New York. So I could be walking up Fifth Avenue and you've got like the rhythm of your walking, and all of a sudden like maybe like you've got a rhythm in your head, and like then all of a sudden maybe a bass line and a chord progression and just like that action, and you've got the city around you, and like that. I guess I would say in terms of when I start a song, it probably starts with chord progression and a groove,
Okay.
you know, and then I'll put a melody on top of that.
Yeah.
And then probably lyrics are last. I'd say 60 to 70% of the time I write a song, it probably starts there.
Okay.
Then there's the 40% where maybe there's a lyrical idea.
Yeah.
Or a hook, and so then that'll bubble. And so a melody will come from that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I've got a melody. It's like, oh, well, what's the harmony sound like to that? And then I'll write
really
the chords.
Good with harmonies too.
And then I'll write the chords. And then I'll write the rhythm and sort of produce the track. So it's a mixed bag for me right now. A lot of the recent stuff I've been doing has definitely been that other thing where it's like, oh, I have a lyric.
Yeah. Do you ever just write lyrics and go like, well, I got lyrics right now, but I'm not going to play. I'm laying down in bed, but I've got this thing I need to say.
That's the one thing that I haven't done. I think maybe once or twice in my songwriting career have I just written poetry and then gone back and been like, okay, now let's make music.
I've been doing a lot of that.
Yeah, see, I'd like to get to that. I have a couple things I want to try to experiment with as far as songwriting goes. I want to do that. I want to just write poetry and lyrics and then come up with a melody to that. And then I also want to do like a randomization technique. Like I want to get dice. And I want to roll the dice, and the first number that comes up, that's the chord I'm going to play. So if a 4 comes up,
oh my God,
I'm going to play a 4 chord. And then I'm going to roll the dice again, and whatever that chord is, it's going to be the next chord. And then I've kind of got like a little...
I kind of like that.
I kind of have a little game in my head that I want to do. So once I have those chords, then I'll take one dice and I'll roll that dice. And if it ends up like between 1 and 3, the first that chord that I'm thinking about will either be a minor or a major chord. So if it's 1 to 3, it's a minor chord. If it's 4 to 6, it's a major chord.
Wow.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's good exercise for...
And just to see what kind of ideas I can come up with for that. And you could even take it further. Like you could roll the dice, and whatever the number comes up first, you'd be like, okay, that's how many chords I'm going to play in this bar.
Oh. What about tempo?
Tempo could be another thing.
You're going to have to roll 2.
You have to roll 2 or 3
6.
or add them up,
Yeah. That's awesome.
So I kind of want to come up with like a random generator to...
So what would be the name of this album?
I don't know.
Dices.
Right? Dices. Luck of the draw. I don't know.
Luck of the draw.
But because it's easy to get
Games.
into patterns when you're creating.
Yeah.
It's very easy for me to fall into the same kinds of chords that I like playing because, I like big jazz chords. I like the 9. I like the 7. I like the 13.
I know.
And so you tend to gravitate to those. And sometimes maybe all you need is like just a normal 1-4-5 or 1-3-5.
Totally.
Or maybe even just like fifths. Let's play fifths. Let's go rock and roll and bar chord it.
Yeah. Theory is like the last thing in my mind.
Right.
So I hear a song in my head and I just have to find the chords.
Right.
So that's how I write my songs. But it would be cool to wanna do something like that too.
Yeah.
Be forced to go a different way.
Yeah.
I've been learning new stuff from Marcus King actually mostly these days. And I've been learning his songs, so his songs are very...
I gotta dig into this
so
Marcus
beautiful.
King. You're drinking the Marcus King Kool-Aid.
I'm drinking the Marcus King Kool-Aid for sure.
I'm drinking the Theo Katzman Kool-Aid right now, and it's very tasty as well.
But are you learning any of this stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when you learn their music, right, you go like, holy fuck, I would have never done
well,
that.
my first thing with that was Stevie Wonder.
Oh, wow.
Stevie Wonder
Oh, my
was...
God, you're right.
And actually... I mean, it started early when I was in my teenage years, when I was first starting learning songwriting, because I was shedding Elton, I was shedding Billy Joel.
That's great.
I was really big into the Doobies, and so Michael McDonald had a big influence.
Fuck,
Daryl Hall had a big influence on me.
Yeah.
But my real, like, when the soul really started coming to me, because I'm in Wyoming, it's rock. It's really rock. Yeah. Because here's something to be embarrassed about. I was breakdancing. I was a break dancer.
Come on.
So I'm really one of the only guys in Wyoming that's listening to Curtis Blow and Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mel.
Oh, yeah.
And I got so much flack from my peers because they were listening to Sammy Hagar and Def Leppard and Bon Jovi and
Wow.
so like
I didn't know what Wyoming was.
so that's where my
rock and roll.
love for black music began.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Denver, it evolved because then I could really unabashedly grab onto acid jazz and hip hop.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine turned me on to early Stevie Wonder and Inner Visions. He was like, just listen to Inner Visions.
Yeah.
And because Stevie Wonder at the time for me was just, I just called to say I love you and part-time lover and sort of the other apex of that.
Isn't she pretty?
Yeah. But even Isn't She Lovely, like that's
Lovely.
in the echelon of like the great stuff. But then once I started listening to these early 70s Stevie Wonder records and like a whole world opened up to me and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, these songs, these chords make you
songwriting.
feel so
know.
good. Like
I
they
know.
just speak to the inside of you.
Yeah.
And Stevie's voice and his lyrical content and what he's talking
His
about.
musicianship.
His musicianship. Oh my God.
No, he's got everything.
Most underrated drummer, most underrated harmonica player,
Right.
amazing vocalist, amazing keyboard player.
Singer, songwriter. I met him
And
twice.
at the time, I've been in the same room with Stevie a couple times, and I've never met him.
Yeah,
but,
actually met him, talked to him, held his hand. It was pretty fucking dope.
But you know, to realize when he was in that stage of his development, like he was trying to be Marvin, because Marvin was the first guy to basically be like, I'm gonna self-produce my records, Barry. You know, because everybody had to tell Barry Gordon, screw you, we're not doing the Motown formula anymore.
Yeah.
I want to produce my own stuff.
Yeah.
And so when Stevie was sort of echoing what Marvin was doing, but then taking it to Stevie level, is incredible. And so I wanted to get into those songs.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's.
And that's how you started learning those.
Yeah, well, I was a big
progressions?
theory geek in college anyway. I mean, I was schooled in theory. You know, I learned Debussy and you know all these different types of classical music and what the theory was, voice leading and voice arrangements and all that kind of stuff.
And applied a lot of that into your music.
Yes, but again, you learn those rules so you can break them.
Yeah.
Because the thing about classical music was very rooted in the church, and specifically at the time, like the Italian church and the Catholic Church was basically telling Mozart and Beethoven, oh, you can write this kind of chord.
They were?
You can lead these kind of voices, but you can't do this. You can't do superimposed, you can't do tritones. Like they called the tritones the devil's chords. So you couldn't write tritones. So people like Mozart and Beethoven and Brahms had to avoid that kind of stuff because they get in trouble with the church.
We got Miles in the studio.
What's up, Miles?
Come on, honey. Come on.
So I studied a lot of theory.
So you can break the rule.
Yeah, you learn the rules so you can break them, and Stevie was a fantastic example of that. I mean, I think it's great for any songwriter to find the one songwriter who kind of speaks to you.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
dissect them,
Yeah.
not necessarily completely cop them and imitate them.
not to
Although
copy,
I'm
to
sure
learn.
like, because I get a lot of comparisons.
You get a little influenced by
You
that.
get and influences are good.
You can't escape
And this
them.
is the thing about just listening to music and just absorbing it, sucking it in. Because
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm hoping it's an osmosis thing. I'm hoping that something that I've listened to in my lifetime will eventually come out just sort of in a different form, like
Yeah.
with just like a fresh spin on it,
Yeah.
fresh
But it
twist
will,
on it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I've been doing with Marcus King. So just learning how to put certain chords together again. And I guess that's how I study music. I don't sit there and go like, oh, this is how you do it. I just gotta figure it out. My whole life is just I figure it out as I go.
Well, again, and the magic of songwriting is to find the things that I never want to write a song that I don't want to listen to over and over and over again.
No, you said it. That's it.
Like The State of Blue-Eyed Soul, I wrote that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But I am still hella proud of that record.
You should be.
I still think it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And I will still listen to it from top to bottom and go, holy shit. I love these songs.
It sounds really good. I listened to the whole thing yesterday.
You know, sometimes and
I love your lyrics.
Thank you. Well, see, and I feel like lyrics are my weak link.
You think?
Yeah, I feel like I'm not like, and I even write now. Like I became a writer over time. Like I never felt like I was a good writer in high school, even though I loved English. I love the English language. I love poetry. I love all that stuff. But I never felt I was a very good writer until way later when I actually started writing.
Yeah, but you have to do it to be better.
Yeah. So I never felt like the lyrical component of my songwriting was super strong. But there are things that I do that I listen to every once in a while. I'm like, that's cool what you did with the lyric.
I know. Yeah.
You know?
I actually love
Sometimes
lyrics.
it's a total accident. Sometimes it's an absolute accident. Like I have
it is, but it isn't.
I have one of my favorite things in the middle of one of my songs. It's called Thinking About You. And I do a bar of 4/4 and I do like a bar of 7/4 and I flip the time. And when the time flips, the lyric changes. I go, my mind is drowned. No, okay. Getting older as the thoughts attack my mind. So that's the end of that lyric, but it's also the beginning of the next lyric, which is my mind is drowning in the thought of you.
Oh.
So you ever have that where like you finish a lyric, but then you start the next lyric with the last words of that the first lyric?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff I find hella clever.
I think it's super cool too.
You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen a lot.
It doesn't happen a lot.
You just luck
Only
into
the lucky
it.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lucky moments, but that's how you have to always do. I love lyrics. Lyrics is probably my number one.
The trick to
favorite
lyrics,
thing about
and when I was listening to your podcast with Barkley, he was describing something that I can sort of expound on, which is you got to avoid your cliches.
Right.
It's so easy.
Exactly. We were talking
to
about
get
that.
into the honey, I love you, you broke my heart.
Yeah.
You know, well, never thought I'd be apart.
Yeah.
You know, what am I doing for my art? Jesus Christ, I got to fart. Like, you know, you gotta.
You broke my heart.
Yeah. Oh, darling, you broke my heart. I'm gassy because you broke my heart. No.
I'm gonna break a fart because you broke my heart.
The things you have to avoid are cliches and contrivance. Yeah. Like if it feels like you worked really hard to create it, it's not gonna come off authentic. Like if
sometimes you do work hard on a lyric.
Yeah, but if it feels, and I'm even talking like chord progressions, like the whole thing, even like your production, whatever it is, your arrangement.
I see what you're saying.
If it feels like you're intentionally doing it, like if it feels overdone like that, that's not authentic. That's not genuine.
You're right.
You have to. The trick to great songwriting, and I think just great art in general, is you have to come from your heart. You have to personify the idea however it is. If you're painting it, if you're writing words,
taking
photos, if you know you're making music, you're putting words and music together, it comes from that genuine place. You put it into your medium, whatever it is, and it's organic. Even if it's synthetic, like even if you're doing house music or if you're, doing trap beats or whatever, Lord knows we don't need any more trap beats. But as long as it comes out authentic and then it speaks to your soul and moves you personally, then I think that is good art.
I do too.
But if it's like, if you're coming from the other position of, oh, I'm just going to make a bunch of money, I'm going to write an awesome hook, I'm going to get a bunch of downloads, I'm going to make a hit. That's the demon child of songwriting. I'm going to write a hit. If you go into that mentality when you're writing, you're screwing yourself.
It's funny that you said that because I was watching a interview with Billy Strings and he's saying the same thing. It's like when I'm writing a song, I'm not sitting there thinking, I'm going to write this one so people are going to like it.
Right.
What do people like They like what you write regardless. You're gonna find your niche. You're gonna find your people.
Yeah.
Even if you just write really sad fucking ballads.
Yeah.
There are people that are gonna like your sad fucking ballads.
I think early on I started writing thinking, oh, I'm going to write a song that everybody's going to love. And I think at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to write a song that you love.
That you like, yeah.
That speaks to you, and then you have that commonality. Once you play it once you put it out in the universe, and you have that person from Japan email you saying, I love your fucking record.
Yeah.
Like, that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, when I started putting out my first music, this was when mp3.com was happening and the internet was first taking off. And, you know, there were basically Billboard charts of internet, you know, released music. And I got an email from some girl in Japan saying,
Oh, wow.
Your music is so amazing. And then that connection is made. And then down the line, you meet that person.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So basically, sort of my first fan, her name is Yukiko Masuda. And
Hello, Yukiko Masuda.
Hello, Yukiko Masuda. She came out for my Apollo show with her husband.
What?
They came out to see me do the Apollo thing.
Good.
This is how nuts it was. And then years later, she came out. This is after I'd had Connor. He must have been like probably 3 or 4 years old. She came out to visit, and we just had a beach day, and we just hung out on the beach and hung out with Connor and
some random musical connection.
some person that like felt they liked my music enough to say, dude, what you're doing matters to me. What you're doing is important to me.
Yeah.
That's the end all.
I
when
know.
you actually affect somebody else to that point,
yeah,
that's magic.
when they take the time to praise you.
Absolutely.
You know?
And that's the magic of the whole thing.
Okay, so I got something here.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's why I do it. Like, it used to be fairly selfish motivations. Like, when you first start out, especially guys, I'm getting into music to attract chicks.
Oh my God, you're the 1000th guy.
Chicks love guitar players or whatever. I always thought, and you know what? Statistically, the amount of women that I've attracted by being a saxophone player is severely disappointing from the hype that I got from people saying, you play saxophone, you're going to round up a whole bunch of chicks.
But you're a singer too, how about that?
Yeah, but still, I think maybe I was just awkward and geeky, and I
don't get any dudes for singing or playing the guitar. Nobody gives a shit.
Please.
But, so if you had to put a timeline in your life side, where do you think you are at now with your music? Are you happy?
I'm never happy.
Exactly.
You don't even have to finish the question. I am sorely disappointed with my career. Even though I've made music that I'm hella proud of, and I have a lot to show for it.
But you are somewhere in your career.
I am somewhere in my career, but I do feel, what's John Lennon say? Life is what happens to you while you're making other plans.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
So, I came into this, of course, with as lofty goals as the rest of us do.
Yeah.
I want stardom. I want to be famous.
I want to be a rock star.
I want to be on the radio. I want hookers and blow. Like the whole bit,
Give me all.
And none of that ever happened.
Shit. Oh, you got time.
Now it's more like, I want to finish all this shit in my head that I've still got that I haven't released. Like, I have great songs that I just haven't put out yet because I've been so busy.
Is it gonna be because you're so busy? So, like, do you think quarantine? Dylan was saying the other day on the podcast, Dylan Wilson, Rich Kotzon's bass player. He was like, I think quarantine stripped everybody from their excuses, because we're always getting ready to do this show and to learn these songs, and I'm sick of my cover songs, so I'm going to learn 20 new songs. So what about now?
There is an extent of that, and I think for you guys, particularly you guys that are solo 24/7 musicians, unfortunately, I'm not that lucky. I have a day gig, and I've had a day gig.
You're lucky lucky too. You have a day gig.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I can't bitch about that.
No, we cannot.
I'm very, very fortunate and lucky that I fucking have a job.
Yeah.
You know,
Amen.
and I my heart breaks for you guys that were doing 5, 6 shows a week that can no longer do that, and you got to find a way to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So, but for you guys, it is easier, you know, to now knuckle down and be like, oh, I'm going to spend more time learning more songs. I'm going to spend more time writing more songs.
Writing songs and recording.
And I am also on that path now.
Yeah.
It's just very much for me now. I really have to self-discipline because I have a 10-year-old. I have a job. I'm in a relationship. You know, and we're all like
and
that. We've all got that.
And you're still working too. It's not like us musicians there have not been
I'm
working.
still putting
so
in
we
8.5 hours a day.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, it's the same challenge that we've really faced since we left the house. It's like, it's really time management. It's really commitment. It's really devotion.
Yeah.
How devoted are you to your craft? And I do have to give you so many props, Tati, because I've watched you evolve since the girl that was on the rooftop with the acoustic guitar, just singing her thing. You have developed and you have blossomed, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass or anything.
Thank you so much, man.
I am severely proud of you. You constantly, you're growing. You are impressive. You're technologically branching out. Look, you're doing this podcast. You're learning Pro Tools.
I have a lot of things I want to do.
You're stepping outside of the box.
Yeah.
Like that's all you can do, and you are making the use of your time, and that's, as artists, the conflict.
I think I have a lot of my brain doesn't stop. And I have a lot of my brain's always thinking, so...
Yeah, don't worry, get older, that'll change.
Right.
Get to be my age, all of a sudden it's like, what was I thinking? I came up with a great idea yesterday morning. You ever wake up from a dream, you're dreaming a new song?
Oh, yeah.
You ever have that? Okay.
Yeah.
So I had that, and I thought, oh, this is great, I'm going to go home, I'm going to write it. By the time I woke up and by the time I got home to start writing the song, I realized, oh, this is a Janet Jackson song that's already happened again. So I gave up on that idea.
It's already happening.
But that's what happens. Like you get from inspiration to, oh, now I gotta put pen to paper or fingers to keyboards and start knocking it out. And any distraction or any little thing could be like, oh, well, wait a minute, there's a phone call. Oh, I got to answer this email. Oh, what's on Facebook? You know, like...
See, when I get in here in the studio, everything is already set up. All I have to do is hit the power button. It powers up the speakers, the microphone, the guitar, and I get to play. So it takes me 10 seconds to start singing and playing.
That's the one thing you have to do. You have to set up a space. You have to set up a sanctuary.
Make it easier.
And this is the one thing, and this ruins some relationships, by the way.
Yeah.
Artistry requires solace.
Yeah. Believe me, I love my time alone.
Some relationships can handle it. Some relationships can't.
Yeah.
You know?
I could never date another non-musician.
It's hard.
It's a fucking problem here.
Yeah, it's hard. But then it's also, sometimes it's hard dating another creative because creatives in and of themselves tend to be a little bit nuts.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
And when I lived here with my ex, and this studio was, specifically for music, I don't know if you've ever been here at that time. You have, probably. And it was like, he made it super cool and it was amazing. But he was here all the time and I didn't want to come here because he was here. So
it wasn't a shared space, it was more of a proprietary space.
No, but it was. It was like I can come here and create and everything. But it was more like he got here first that morning.
Right.
So now the space is his.
Right.
And now I have to go to work or something because I was bartending at the time and I don't want to fucking go there, He peed all over my space. I don't feel like it. So now this place is all mine. The house is mine. I can sit there and watch my stuff and record and do whatever I want. And I love it. And I've been writing so many songs because I feel so inspired by this new artist I've been listening. Plus, I have time to hear my thoughts because I don't have a roommate following me around, talking to me. You know,
Yeah,
and I don't have to go to work. So fucking quarantine is being amazing.
Yeah, there are things I think what I need to improve on besides time management are improving my workflow, because
You seem like you have a cool setup there.
well, I have a great setup, but the problem with having such a great setup, it's like, which keyboard am I gonna play? Oh, which sound out of these thousands of sounds in my synthesizer am I gonna use?
Sometimes just sit there and
What
play everything.
loop out of the millions of fucking drum loops I have on my rig
So you're
am I
having
gonna
the
use?
problem with too many options.
Too many options. It's too many options. And so I think for my next project, and I may not even release my next project, it may just be an exercise in discipline. I'm going to be like, I'm going to use this keyboard, and this keyboard. I'm going to use this drum kit, but I'm only going to use this drum set for this kit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use basically those 4 or 5 instruments, and I'm going to use them on every
And you're
song.
gonna make it work.
And I'm going to make it work.
But see, you can't do that. Write the songs and then develop from there.
And of course, and then from
Right?
there, that's arrangement. Then
Yeah.
then you've made 4 or 5 good demos.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
I
from there,
suck at
then
the
you can
demo.
go and you can explore those choices. But yeah, you're right. My issue is focus right now, and it's just basically being like, hey, because the great thing about the Dream Child Suite which was my second project, which
Yeah.
was the EP. That project stemmed from I'm going to create a song a month.
Awesome.
From top to bottom, I'm going to basically
Wow.
produce the song, start at the beginning of the month, and it's going to be
Totally
done by the
finish
end of the
the-
month.
Oh,
and
that's
in
great.
5 months, I'll have 5 songs, and it'll be
Holy
done.
shit, that's great.
And I did that, and
that's what that is.
that's how the Dream Child
They
Suite.
sounded good.
And there are parts of it that I'm like, because the State of Blue Eyed Soul was polished.
Yeah.
I polished the fuck out of State of
But
Blue Eyed Soul.
I can also tell that on that album, it came out strong out of you.
Well, yeah, I was.
You had this
I
fucking
was
idea. You
heavily
had your
inspired.
people.
I'm young. I'm inspired. The
You-
world is my oyster.
Right.
Like it
And
was
I'm gonna
like
say
this
all
is
these
my love
things.
letter to New York. That whole
Yeah.
lofty thing. Yeah. So I was still in that.
You had a vibe. You had a
you know,
signature.
I did the Dream. I did the Dream Child Suites.
But that came after later.
That was 2006. I moved here in 2006. I probably started the record after I got married. Clearly, so it was between 2006 and 2010. You know, so I think probably like the latter part of 2009, 2010 was when I created that record, and you know, I'm proud of the songs. The songs themselves I'd worked out. The production I'm pretty proud of. I'm actually very proud of the fact that I used more musicians.
You did. I liked that.
Yeah, I had, because I had a band. I had Noah. I had
You did.
I had Jason Thomason on guitar, amazing guitar player, no longer lives here anymore. Christian Williams on drums. So I used those guys, and it wasn't just the Philip Clark show. So I did that, and I utilized them. I think I would love to spend more time with vocal tracks, because I'm a vocal producer. Like, I produce vocal harmonies. I produce a vocal lead track. I composite. I do the whole bit.
Yeah.
When you're in that song a month mode, you don't have necessarily enough time for that. It's like, I've got to print this. So there are some vocal performances on that particular record that I'm like, close enough.
Close
You know.
enough is good enough.
But I did it.
But
and
you
I
did
got it in the can.
Yeah, and I love that. Good for you.
Yeah.
See, this is what I did with Aaron. I was like, fuck, man, I'm just gonna fucking Sister Knot, which is the new Phoenix Rising. So Sister Knot has all these songs coming out, because we knocked all them out at once. We did all the drums in one day.
Nice.
7 songs, you know. So we released Lies, and it's been forever, but then quarantine came, we didn't see each other for a few months, and then there's 2 more
But it
songs
hasn't
coming
been
out
forever.
now.
It's been a year.
A year.
My
But come on, 1 song a year? Come on.
Dude.
And we have all the drums finished, all the bass finished. It's just tiny little things we need to finish.
I went 5 years between records, and this next project will be even longer than that.
Well,
It'll be
hurry
like-
the fuck up.
It's like the Blue Nile. One of my favorite bands is the Blue Nile. They put 1 record out every 10, 20 years.
Wow.
My gestational process is pretty long. I have songs that I wrote when I was in Glen Rock, Wyoming that I still have not recorded.
You see it, but you want to.
Well, yeah, I want to.
I want to record. I want to record.
But you were saying with Sister Not. By the way, the rebrand is perfect. You needed to do that.
You liked the.
Yeah.
I like the name too.
Yeah, I like the name too. But you guys needed to rebrand, and it's smart that you do it now while your base is still manageable.
Small.
And you don't have thousands of people going, well, what happened to Phoenix Rising?
Because you can catch a few of them that can go like, oh, okay, I get the memo. But the majority of them are like, what? I don't find your page anymore. Oh my God, it was like a year ago. I told you. Yeah. But anyway.
But you guys track the drums and you're
we did
producing.
all drums, we did all bass, like the songs are like 90%.
Did you guys track everything live?
What do you mean?
Like when you did the initial session, did you track everything at once? Did you do it as a band?
No, we just did the drums.
Okay.
Because we had all the demos.
That's the one thing that I've yet to do with a project that I want to do.
Oh, what?
I want to get everybody in the room.
And do it live?
And then overdub whatever didn't work.
Yeah. Some things you kind of... This is what Mitch Perry did, Some of the stuff... Like bass, guitar, and drums were all recorded together live.
Right.
And then the vocals.
Well, with that kind of project, you have to do that because you have to capture that vibe.
Yeah, that's what you said.
That essence doesn't exist multi-track.
And he didn't work out the solos before. He kind of had an idea, and then, they came out as they did.
Yeah.
And it's like... But when you're like this... fluent with your instrument, But the thing is, with vocals, you kind of have to go back there.
You do kind of have to go back there, although...
And do it.
Are you listening to these breakdowns with Christian Hand?
No.
Quick plug. I got to talk about Christian Hand.
Please.
He takes these old... He finds the stems to like Beatles records.
Okay.
And Stevie Nicks and Eagles and all this stuff. And he basically plays them track by track so you can see what was going on in the recording process and how the actual record was made.
Yeah.
And it dissects it and he talks about how, and he also talks about like the inspiration of the song.
Is that a podcast?
It is a podcast. He's on KLOS.
Oh, okay.
So he does something on Mondays with Heidi and Frank. But now he's also doing an Instagram live thing every day. Every day and every night he's doing Instagram live. Sunday night he did Beatles Don't Let Me Down.
Okay.
And he has the stems, but even the stems are not completely isolated because when they recorded it, they're all in the room.
Yeah.
So you're listening to Ringo's drum track by itself, but you're still hearing George's guitar and Paul's bass in the background because they were all in the same room.
But they did do that a lot back in the day.
But so that's what I want to do. I've never actually done a project where I've taken a band in a studio.
I think that would be good for you.
I think it would be good for me too because my whole MO for my entire, even my production career has been, sequencing and, track by track and overdubbing and comping and all that stuff. I would love to track a live rhythm section.
That should be your next thing.
Yeah, well, I do have plans on doing that, and I do think I know where I'm going to do it. So it's just a matter of having the songs fleshed out enough.
You could do it as Sunset Sounds.
I would love to do it as Sunset Sound. I kind of have a studio in mind already.
Where?
That lends itself to
the space.
Just more to my kind of music, the kind of music that I'm listening to right now, like records that I like. Are made out of this studio.
Where?
It's called Blue Dream Studios.
Okay.
It's run by Sam Browner. Amazing drummer. It's in Hollywood. I think Hollywood, North Hollywood, Hollywood Hills somewhere. They're affiliated with bands like Moonchild and some of the Wolfpack guys have recorded out of there. Raquel Rodriguez, who is an amazing artist, is basically a partner in the studio and an amazing artist in her own right. They've got great gear. Salmon is an amazing drummer. I'd love to use him, hopefully, for this stuff.
Good.
And just the sound they come out with. Mac Ayers recorded his record there. I'm a big Mac Ayers fan.
All right.
The type of music that I'm gravitating to And now I'm learning about those guys in the LA scene that I want to get to know because I respect their art and I know I can hang. You know, that's the next step for me.
So who are you listening to right now?
Oh my God.
All right, give me your top 5.
I'll tell you, I have to look at my phone because I keep lists.
You should share me some of these fucking lists.
Okay.
Because I love listening.
Because I have 2 lists right now that I'm cultivating. I have the best of 2020.
Okay.
And I have the best of 2020, and those are my top picks.
The best of the best.
The best of the best. So best of 2020 right now. Theo Katzman.
Oh.
His record is called. Hang on, if I can look at it without playing it. Let me turn my phone.
You can play. We're all good here. We're at home.
No, you guys, you just have to go to YouTube and look up these new Theo Katzman because he filmed his process. He tracked with his band and he filmed it at the same time.
Oh, wow,
and then he made them lyric videos. This is how you market. That's the other thing.
Good idea. Because I wanted to do some lyric.
I'm going to send you this stuff. I've sent you these links. Okay, the album is called Modern Johnny Sings Songs in the Age of Vibe. It's a double record. It's basically his songs in the key of life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
I have heard that already.
This guy, Silo Nosra, more of like kind of electronic soul thing. Braxton Cook, more of kind of a jazz artist, but has that electric, modern R&B thing that I really dig.
You do, yeah.
Ben Lonkel Soul. I don't know if you've heard of this guy.
I have not.
He's got kind of a Southern soul, little bit of New Orleans influence, but also just like classic soul. Nice. Along the lines of like Marvin and Otis Redding kind of thing. Dragonfly Empire, a hip hop band. But like good old school hip hop, like Tribe Called Quest or like that kind of stuff. Not like modern hip hop that's going on, which I can't get into. I'm a big Tom Misch fan. Tom is an amazing guitar player, amazing songwriter, great vocalist, but he teamed up with this drummer named Yusef Days, and they did a project together, and they got together with, Pino Palladino, the bass player?
I don't know.
He's just such a prolific bass player. He played with D'Angelo, he played with The Roots.
Okay.
But he was also on like pop records like with Paul Simon and Phil Collins, whatever. His kid is on this record. Also plays bass. Also a monster. Little Dragon. The last Little Dragon record was good. I don't know if you know Little Dragon.
I don't know.
And then there's this girl named Nikala who is along the lines of Her. You and I love Her.
Yeah.
If you like Her, you'll love Nikala. And then Alpha Mist, who is in this...
It's not the same singer, right? It's just in the lines of her.
It sounds very... It's influenced kind of by Her. Alpha Mist is great. And then this, I think, got a few in here.
So you're listening to a lot of new stuff.
Like I said, every Friday.
I like that.
It's my...
Because in this podcast, I ask a lot of people if they're listening to new music, and they're like, I don't listen to music.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And I talk to a lot of my friends, and they're like,
punch you in the face.
It's like, what's the last great thing you heard? It's like, oh, well, this Eagles record from 1978. I was like, give me a break.
I know. I don't fucking get it.
What I do, my thing is every Friday, I go to iTunes, I scroll down to genres. They've hidden it. They've tried to quash my game. I go all the way down to the bottom of Apple Music, and I click on the genres, and I go to the genres that I'm mainly interested in, which is R&B and soul. And then I go to the R&B tab, and I go to new releases, and I find every new release that happens on Friday, and they go into my playlist queue.
Oh, good. Oh, my God.
And so when I'm working during the day, I do a 9 to 5:30, and while I'm working, that's what I'm listening to.
Do you have these playlists available for people to check it out?
I'll make links. I'll put them up on my Facebook.
Then you can just follow you on Spotify.
Follow me on Spotify,
and have
Philip Clark.
These lists there.
Yeah,
I don't listen to...
And just find my Facebook page, facebook.com/Philip Clark or facebook.com/Philip Clark Music. I'll post links. I generally make a big deal out of the stuff because I kind of fancy myself as a closet music critic.
You should.
And at the end of the year, I do make lists, and I do I do a mixtape of
I
my
have
favorite
so
songs.
many fucking lists. I think I have like over 200 lists because I have my thing. I have like Sister Not new songs, cover songs, and then I go like breakup songs, and then I go because I'm a loser, and then I go.
Both of us lost.
And then I go this list, Christmas gig shit, and I have all these lists. Too many fucking lists.
Yeah.
But they work. And sometimes you go scroll all the way down.
And then
you
as
go,
musicians
oh my God.
also, because here's the other double-edged swords about having playlists. We also have to have playlists about stuff that we have to learn.
Exactly.
And it doesn't happen so much
50%
now.
Of those 200 is
it doesn't happen so much now in the time of COVID, but
yeah.
a lot of the South Bay Jam just dominated my time because I had
have
so
4
much
lists
music.
for you guys.
I had so much music to learn.
You guys had the bad end of it. I had to learn, 3, 4, 5 songs.
Right.
But you, because you're in the house band, and you're actually playing the songs. You had to learn so much.
I was learning 8 to 14 songs a week.
You had to do it, yeah. A week.
A week. Yeah.
But I think of all the songs we've done that is actually on the internet, I put a few of our songs on the internet. It's the Prince song we did together.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It just
I love
came
that
out
rendition too.
So good. Didn't it?
I love that live version.
I wouldn't have
Nothing
put it on
compares
the
to
internet. It was fucking sexy, dope, and heartfelt.
Yeah.
It was great.
I think it kicks the shit out of the Sinead O'Connor version, but that's just me.
Well, we killed it. Guys, check it out. Nothing Compares to You by Prince, covered by the
South
South
Bay
Bay
Jam.
Jam.
Whoop, whoop.
So we can find you on Instagram, Philip Clark.
Philip Clark.
Music?
No, most of everything is just Philip Clark. I got lucky. I secured most of my domains early. So
You did. Only
Instagram-
YouTube is Philip Clark Music.
yeah, yes, that would be right.
Instagram, Philip Clark.
Yes.
Facebook,
Philip Clark
Music.
and Philip Clark Music, yes.
But ultimately, philipclark.com.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. And you have all the songs that you can buy there. And buy the fucking song!
Yeah, hell.
Because you're funky.
Buying music is great, or just stream the hell out of me on Spotify and Apple Music.
And stream and have it on everything.
Yeah.
And just, we're going to be waiting then for craziness.
Yeah.
And sexy bedroom sets.
Hot,
like
hot
Billy.
butted soul. Somebody told me my music was great for women in bathtubs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So get in a bathtub and listen to my shit.
That's right.
Put on the bubbles.
I love
Pour a glass of champagne.
Philip Clark at the way of the artist. I don't speak English anymore. Philip Clark in the way of the artist, giving his life and his soulful artistic music. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for this podcast. I enjoy it very much. I am listening. You all need to subscribe.
Yes, that's right.
Like and subscribe and
share.
Support local music.
Yeah, and the South Bay is growing, and it's
Yes.
going to be exponentially huge next time we get to play live, because everybody's going to be a new person. I can't wait.
Right.
It's going to be great. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Tati.
And we'll talk to you guys next time. PhilipClark.com. Stay in tune, stay in touch, and stay safe. Talk to you guys next time.
Peace.
Thank you. Purse.
Peace.
Pam.